Richard III of England lived from October 1452 to August 1485, and he was the King of England for 2 years, from 1483 until his death during the Battle of Bosworth Field in 1485. He was the last king of the House of York and the last of the Plantagenet dynasty. His defeat at the Battle of Bosworth Field was the decisive battle during the War of the Roses, and very often this is regarded as the end of the Middle Ages in England. It's also in a play by William Shakespeare. Edward IV, who was the brother of Richard III, died in April 1483, and Richard was named Lord Protector of the realm for Edward's son and successor. This was the 12-year-old King Edward V. However, before the young king could be crowned, Edward IV's marriage to the boy's mother, Elizabeth Woodville, was publicly declared to be invalid, and this had the effect of making the children ineligible for the throne. There was an assembly of lords and commoners who endorsed these claims. The following day, Richard III officially began his reign. The two young princes were not seen in public after August, and there became a number of accusations made that the boys had been murdered by Richard, and this gave rise to the legend of the princes in the tower. There were two major rebellions against Richard, the first in 1483, and that was led by the staunch allies of Edward IV, and most notably by Richard's former ally, Henry Stafford. He was the second Duke of Buckingham. But this revolt collapsed, and Buckingham was executed at Salisbury, near the Bull's Head Inn. In 1485, there was another rebellion against Richard, and this was headed by Henry Tudor. He was the second Earl of Richmond, and later became Henry VII. Henry VII was supported by his uncle, Jasper. Henry Tudor landed in Pembrokeshire, which was his birthplace, with a contingent of French troops, and marched through Wales recruiting foot soldiers as he did so, and also skilled archers. During the Battle of Bosworth Field, Richard III died, and he's the last king to die in battle in England, and also the only English king to do so on English soil since Harold II at the Battle of Hastings in 1066. During the reign of Edward IV, Richard demonstrated his loyalty and skill as a military commander. He was rewarded with large estates in northern England and appointed governor of the north. He became the richest and most powerful noble in England. He was made Constable of England. Richard controlled the north of England until Edward IV's death, especially in the city of York. And in York he had much love and affection. Richard's death at Bosworth resulted in the end of the Plantagenet dynasty, which had ruled England since the succession of Henry II in 1154. The last male Plantagenet, Edward, Earl of Warwick, son of Richard III's brother, Clarence, was executed by Henry VII in 1499. In 2012, the University of Leicester and Leicester City Council, in association with Richard III's Society, announced that they had joined forces to begin a research for the remains of King Richard. Led by University of Leicester Archaeological Services, experts set out to locate the Grey Friars site and discover whether his remains were still interred. The church appeared to locate the church of Grey Friars, where Richard's body had been buried, beneath the modern-day city centre council car park. On the 5th of September 2012, the excavators announced that they'd identified the Grey Friars church, and 2 days later that they'd identified the location of Robert Herrick's garden, where the memorial to Richard III stood in the early 17th century. Human bones have since been found beneath the church's choir, and it's been announced that a skeleton has been discovered during the search, which looks as though it could be Richard III. 5 reasons have been given. The body was of an adult male. It was buried beneath the choir of the church. There's a humpback of the spine, possibly making one shoulder higher than the other, although to what extent could depend on the severity of the condition. In addition, there was an arrowhead embedded in the spine, and there's also injuries to the skull. DNA comparisons have been taken.